All right, influencer marketing. We're digging into influencer marketing for nonprofits and social impactors today. This is going to cover everything you think you know about influencers, everything you should be doing, everything you shouldn't be doing. It's really going to be a best practices masterclass. Influencer marketing is something that I've been teaching for over 5 years. And I remember, close to 5 years ago, saying to nonprofits, y'all need to start doing this now. Because 5 years from now, you're going to be like, crap, why didn't we start working with influencers? So if that's you and you're like, why did it take us so long? You're here now, you're going to start today, and that's okay. There's so much opportunity in working with influencers. I will talk to you about my social street team method. This is my influencer marketing method. So I'm going to talk to you about that today. But first, I'm going to share some mistakes and some self coaching I personally am going through just as I'm like getting ready to record. So I got an email that I realized from somebody that I sent out the wrong link for a webinar. And you know that moment where you're like, crap, how many people got the wrong link? How many people thought they were here and the days and the times? And I'm just having a day. I'm having a little bit of a week, if I'm honest. And it was not a good email to get. And when I realized, yeah, in fact, the wrong link had gone out to thousands of people, I felt like crap. And here's what I did next, because when this happens, it's kind of ironic because I just finished the webinar. And one of the themes that I talked about is this idea of imperfect action. And imperfect action will make you a lot of money. And that's true. It is a value of mine. It's something that works really, really well, a concept that works really, really well for my clients because it gets them out of draft mode. And I just want to say, having come on the heels of saying that and presenting that to lots and lots of people, then having had some imperfect action come smack me in the face where I'm like, damn, I wish the link had been perfect. It sucks. It sucks when you take imperfect action that you think is going to be perfect, air quotes, and it's not. So what you do after that, after the fall, after the fail, after the like, oh crap moment matters, because it is a fork in the road as to how you talk to yourself. I talk often to my purpose and profit clubbers about this idea of giving yourself a soft place to land. So when you make a mistake, when something doesn't go how you hoped, giving yourself a soft place to land is the secret to momentum and success. So here's what I did. I thought about it. I looked at it. My brain was like, this is catastrophic. This sucks so hard. And then I realized like, this isn't catastrophic. Plenty of people made it to the right place. The people who didn't will get the replay. It's okay. I don't like it. I wish that things had been double checked and etc. It's okay. And there's not a whole lot I can do right now. Like it's kind of out of my hands. It is okay. And so that's kind of what I realized, just to like dial down, like how big a deal is this, even though it felt like a big deal. The next layer, that there are two things that I think can work really, really well. Now, this is a Zoom link, and you may be thinking, yeah, but it's just a Zoom link. But you have a flavor of this that will come up in your life. And when it does, depending on like how big a deal it is, you can use these two ideas examples. So I was watching this real estate show, Selling Like Sirhan, on Netflix, and it's really good. It's a little cheesy, but overall it's really good. And one of the like big player real estate agents in New York, he goes for this listing appointment and they put him up against another agent, and the seller gets to pick which agent they're going to list with, and they don't pick him. And the guy is like deflated because he has more volume. His numbers are higher. Like on paper, he should get the listing, but he doesn't. And they cut to him like walking out of the listing appointment. And he's like, you know what? I thought I was going to get it. I did. But I'm going to take 30 minutes. I'm going to be upset. And then we go, and then we move on. And it was like master self-coaching. Basically, he said, I'm going to feel the feelings of disappointment. This sucks. I'm not going to tell myself it's anything other than sucky, because it was like a $20 million listing. I'm not going to wallow in it. Like I'm going to give myself like a container of time, 30 minutes, and we go. And then I have no idea where I heard this, maybe a podcast or a book or a show. I don't know. But it was this idea of this coach telling their losing team. It was like maybe baseball or soccer or something like that. The coach said, whenever the team loses a game, they get on the bus and they're like, all right, everybody gets 7 minutes. Everybody gets 7 minutes to wallow and talk about how bad it was. And then we're going to talk about what worked, what we want to do differently. And that's it. We're not talking about it again. And so for me, leading up to recording this podcast, it's like, okay, I've troubleshot what I can with the link. I've sent out the replay. I can replay how I wish it had gone differently in my head. That's not helpful. I can replay that this sucks. That's not helpful. And we go. And so it's almost like allowing yourself to go through it without taking the disappointment and putting your feelings on a shelf. That's what most people do. If they don't kind of wallow in it and ruminate in it, they just put their feelings on a box on a shelf, never to be seen or heard from again. I don't recommend that because that's when things bubble up. So instead, go through it, talk yourself through it, talk to yourself kindly, give yourself a soft place to land, and we go. Now we're going to go into influencer marketing. So I just taught this workshop from Likes to Loyalty, really great workshop. If you want to watch the workshop replay, you can send me a message anywhere on the places, email, social, wherever. And I spent a lot of time talking about influencer marketing. Who can be an influencer? Let's start with some basic questions of like, what are influencers? What do they do? Influencers basically give visibility to your organization or to a product or service, right? And they give it an endorsement. The power of the endorsement is the key here to what makes influencer marketing so special and so successful. It has an X return of every dollar spent. Okay, now for-profits know this, and about a decade ago, they started pulling money that they were spending on traditional media. Think billboards, print advertising, radio ads, digital ads. Now, if they had $100,000 to spend that month, they said, what if we spend some on the same old, and we pull a chunk of it and we start working with influencers? What they saw was, holy crap, a higher return when they work with influencers. Why? Because if I'm driving and I see a billboard for Smart Water, okay, I drive past it, I see it, my brain is like, maybe files it away. Now, I'm going to have to keep seeing that marketing message again and again and again. And maybe at some point I'm like, yeah, I own Smart Water. Okay. But if I see a wellness coach talk about how Smart Water is high in electrolytes and all the other waters aren't, and when they tried this water, it's so much better for workout recovery. I'm making this up. You feel me. But if I trust that wellness coach, that power is going to convert me into taking action so much faster, so much quicker than just like a billboard or a print ad. Okay. Now, whether or not you realize it, you've been influenced your whole life. You've been influenced your whole life. Okay. So I told on the webinar the story about how my daughter, in a pinch, I'm asking her what she wants for dinner, and she's saying no to everything. And finally, I'm like, a hot dog? And she says, yeah, fine, a hot dog. I'll have that. And she watches me open the microwave door. And she's like, no, I want it grilled. And it's been a minute since I've served her a grilled hot dog. So it stopped me and I started laughing. And I was like, why do you want your hot dog grilled? And she was like, grilled hot dogs are better. And I'm sitting here going, and I said to her, where did you hear that? And it would make sense that maybe she saw like a commercial or something like that. But I knew the answer before she said it, but I just needed like confirmation. And she said to me, she went and grabbed her iPad, and it's this YouTuber family and they play pranks on each other and she really likes watching them. And there's this one episode where they have a pool party and they grill hot dogs. And there must be some scene where the two kids say to each other, grilled hot dogs are the best hot dogs. Influence. The power of influence and endorsement to get people to take action, even for a 5-year-old. So that is influencer marketing. The way that I teach it is with this social street team concept. So some of you listening may have an ambassador team, a young advisory board. Think about that, but this is a big twist on it. This is an online experience, okay? This is an online community. This is an online partnership. It can have an in-person component, but to be successful, it doesn't need to. So a social street team is made up of digital ambassadors. Those digital ambassadors may be influencers. So they may be thought leaders on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, wherever. They may be full-time content creators there. They may also just be your advocates, your dialed in, passionate champions, super fans. They can be and should be in your social street team. It should be both. One of the mistakes that organizations make, and we hear it a lot sometimes from like well-intentioned board members, is we just need a celebrity. We just need a celebrity. And that's what they're thinking because celebrities have millions of followers and then it'll get a bunch of visibility and eyeballs. But in fact, it is the foodie account that is community based, that talks a lot about locally grown produce, right? It could be a wellness blogger. It could be a lifestyle blogger, mom, it could be an interior designer. Those are all really great street teamers that may have followers in the thousands and not, or hundreds of thousands, but not necessarily millions. Because when you think about somebody who's like an ultra celebrity, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Kim Kardashian, great, like the uber celebrities, if we think about their audience is very dialed into their lifestyle, their music, them as a celebrity. And think about the location of their audience everywhere. The location of your nonprofit is likely more specific. So we need to figure out that alignment. I like to think of it like a Venn diagram, like where does your mission and your target audience kind of overlap with your ideal social street teamers? Like, where is that overlap? Where is that potential partnership? Where is that alignment? So when we think again about somebody who maybe talks about conscious living, that talks about, what about all the like plant accounts or foodie accounts? And maybe there is an overlap with food insecure households, right? Or we think about a diaper bank here in Georgia that has partnered with other accounts that are mom influencers. All those mom influencers accounts, right? They very much get the need for diapers, right? And young children, they very much get the cost and the expense that is, right? So those are great kind of alignments for social street teamers. And we also want to bring in your champions and your ambassadors and your just young super fans too, who are advocating. But this can be any age. So that's what influencer marketing is. That's who can be an influencer. One of the big questions that I hear is, two. Well, the first one is, do I have to pay influencers? Now, I gave you the for-profit example, and these are paid partnerships. So again, you might spend $10,000 to run an ad in a magazine, but instead, these for-profits are thinking, let me instead give this high profile influencer $10,000 and I will send them a box of our products and they can create 3 feed posts and 3 Instagram stories and 1 blog about our product, right? So you can think about the way that influencers really rose up the popularity of the Stanley Cup, right? That was influencer marketing because Stanley was making thermoses for like camping until some people said these are really cool, and the momentum and the ripple effect. And it became part of like an outfit, right? It became part of like a moment. Okay. So that's what influencers do. You don't have to pay them. And I don't teach the social street team concept where you're paying them. Okay. Now, for-profits are, but this is a mutually beneficial exchange. This is a partnership. So if we think about their why, which is very important, we want to get into motivation. You want to think about what's in it for them. Why would they post about your nonprofit, your mission, an upcoming event, an upcoming fundraiser, a resource, a fact, a lead magnet? Why would they post about that? And you need to be able to answer that question. What would be in it for them? So if you've found the right group of influencers that have some overlapping alignment, then that is the answer. It is, they also care about X. They also care about environmentalism because I see them ditching plastic for good. And I see them talking a little bit about environmentalism. And I'm going to talk to them about our work, our programs, our services, right? So you want to have that like overlapping piece. They want to use their platform for good. And in the right pitch, in the right packaging of a street team, this is an in-kind exchange. Okay. So you can think of it the way that a board member or committee member or young advisory board would be in, unpaid position. But do not make this mistake. It is not the feeling, it is not the responsibility of being on a board. And that's one of the mistakes a lot of organizations make when they tell me we tried it, it didn't work, or some version of that. I'm like, ooh, I bet it felt hard. Or I bet it felt vague for the influencer. So if you say to somebody, hey, will you be an ambassador for us? And they're like, yes. What's your plan after that? And this concept is what I teach inside the club. We go deep. There are templates, there are tools, there are pitch scripts. There is everything you would need inside the club for this to take this work like deeper and really fast track your success. But you want to make sure that you're giving them everything that they need to succeed. I like to say sometimes that people imagine that creating a social street team is a lot like I'm inviting you to dinner. And I'm like, hey, do you want to go grab dinner? And you're like, yes. And then I'm like, amazing. Be at my house at 6:30 and make sure that you bring an appetizer, a drink, and dessert. And you're like, wait, what? I thought we were going out to dinner, right? I thought I was ordering off a menu. That's what it should be like to be a social street teamer. It should feel like you've given them a digital menu and anything they need, whether it's a prepackaged caption, a video, a story, an impact point, it's all there for them. So it should feel very light and fun and community building to be a part of, not like they're really doing the more deep work that a board member or staffer would be doing. So that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make. So the other piece is this idea of the version of a street team that I would want to have is a version that is not yet attainable today. Okay. So you're like, we need a new logo and we need the perfect blah, blah, blah. And we need this video and we need this thing. And I want you to think about your beta launch of your social street team, right? What does that look like to have a street team that is so successful? It is a version that gets it out the door in the next 30 to 60 days. What does that look like? Because that's different than the 5-year version, right? The 5-year version is rinsed and repeated and has more SOPs in it and has more street teamers in it, right? I don't want you to worry about that. I want you to think about the version that gets it out the door today. And so for many of my clients, inaugural street teams have had between 5 and 20 people on them. Okay. You can start with 5 people. Now I'm thinking about many of my clients who have done this, they've followed this, and they 5X their next campaign just by having a street team. Because what does a street team do? It connects you with people outside of your bubble. So many organizations are spending so much time creating social content and videos and reels and whatevers, right? And then they come to me and they're like, no one's engaging on our posts. And I'm like, between 1 and 10% of your audience on social media is seeing your posts. That's kind of the algorithm's baseline, okay? Now, unless you're running ads and things like that, that's how we can change it. Or instead, organically, AKA for free, you can create a street team and your street team is using their platforms. They're lifting your organization up. They're talking, they're advocating for you. So you're getting that advocacy, that endorsement of this organization matters. Now we see this a lot in election season, right? We see advocacy. I was just talking about how Taylor Swift had over 100,000, I believe, people register to be voters in the last election simply from a post, right? Advocacy. So using your platforms for good instead of that, the voter registration account saying, hey, please register to vote Gen Z. Let's get somebody who's plugged into Gen Z to actually say, here's why you need to vote. Here's the link. Boom, boom, go. So that's the power of a street team. Again, I'm using Taylor as an example, but you don't need Taylor Swift. You need community-based who has a natural overlap with your cause, your mission. We're going to be doing a deep dive in the Purpose and Profit Club in September on this. I highly recommend you sign up to join us, join that wait list. It's a great way to find out about the club and get a special discount when we open because we're going to be doing this work. I often hear things like, okay, but where do I find street teamers for me, for our organization? That's great, but here's how we're different, especially for organizations that are international, right? Who aren't so community based. I understand that. And I'm like, nope, you don't get a pass because you absolutely have so much opportunity for social street teamers. And I'm going to give you a case study right now, which is look at Charity Water. Charity Water is an international organization that primarily serves Africa and India, I believe. $100 million organization. Okay. So the average person in Omaha, Nebraska, what is their overlap with building a well, clean drinking water in Malawi, right? Like, think about that. They could be saying that just like you could be too. So they are a great example of an organization that has risen up not only in funding, but in endorsements, in visibility, in brand kind of IP, brand trust through a social street team. They have a couple of different ones. They have quite a few different street teams at play. One of my favorite ones to draw attention to is their Tiny Heroes. That's their street team of young fundraisers. So children who are doing anything from lemonade stands to Ks to really anything to help fundraise. They're doing birthday fundraisers. Those all count. So they're more peer based, right? They have adults who will, for their birthday, run fundraisers using the same kind of endorsement and influencer marketing strategy to get eyeballs and fundraise and also just bring a lot of awareness. There's a huge awareness level to this method, just to the fact that clean drinking water is not something that the entire world has access to today, right? So just that layer is that first piece that's so, so important. They also work with companies, sponsors, brands, and I love that. One of my clients who created an amazing street team, her street team was more B2B. So her street team was a lot of brick and mortar businesses, restaurants in a specific area. And that worked so well for her. She also worked with a graffiti artist in the area, and that worked so well. So you really don't have to go, well, it has to be this exact way, and it has to be on Instagram, and it has to be this one way. I want you to think about, like, where does my ideal audience, like, what are they interested in? Where do they hang out? And the answer, again, it might be LinkedIn, it might be YouTube, it might be Snapchat, it might be Facebook, it might be Facebook groups, really figuring out. And then the next layer is, what do I want to say? What's the ask, right? And we teach this in the program. What are the next steps? And how do I make it really clear? Because when we're asking somebody to join a street team and they say, what is the next thing that you want them to do? So I like to have it time bound where it's for a specific campaign. So they know what they're doing. They know what they're saying yes to, right? Versus this sort of like evergreen, join our ambassador program, goodbye, right? What are they joining? How can they participate? When's the start date? When's the end date? What is their experience like? If you've spent some time thinking about your donor journeys, this is really similar to that. How do I make sure that they feel seen, heard, thanked, and a part of our community in this process? So you may also think about, like, what could I replicate that's worked really well? It could just be a simple handwritten postcard, right? It could be a text message. It could be something like that. It could be IG stories. It could be a blog spotlight. There's so many different ways that you can do it, but I want you to think about that as well. Let me know. I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know what questions you have about influencer marketing. And I told everybody on today's webinar to commit to one thing. Take one thing from this lesson today to commit to for the next 30 days. So what I heard a lot of people say was, I'm going to start asking people to join our street team. And so start with a goal. Instead of saying, I'm going to start asking people to join a street team, I'm going to ask 5 people this week, right? So get specific, go through that process. And I also want to offer, they're already here. Do not start from stranger to stranger. There's somebody in your world you can already ask. So think about them first and think about asking them, or you're one removed. Everybody at this point is like one removed from somebody, knowing somebody who's a YouTuber, an influencer, a blogger, something like that. So they're everywhere. So you got to look for them. Like Mr. Rogers says, look for the helpers. We're going to look for the influencers. If you want help with this, if you want to take this deeper, I highly recommend joining the Purpose and Profit Club, our group coaching program. This is the work we're going to really be focusing on for 2 reasons between now and year end. The first reason is, when we have a street team in place and we're building it now, it makes year end more sustainable. It makes year end growth more of a sure thing than a fingers crossed, hoping, praying, wishing. Okay. That's the first piece. The second piece is that it's scalable. So it not only does it help you set you up for year end, it helps set you up for next year, because we add to your street team. We don't churn people out of your street team. Just like donors, we want that retention piece. Okay. So this is really the part of profitable, scalable growth. Having these foundational systems like a street team is part of that. Like, it's essential to that. And I think that speaks to an organization like Charity Water's success, is they said, we're going to go online first. That's our primary method of communicating with everybody. They really prioritize social media, being online, email, and we've seen that work really well for them. And they're not outliers. That can work really, really well for you too. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'll see you next time.